Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching the truth and sincerity. And shout out to Yakims out there in the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, Brakatum. So, Baal, Cesare Borgia, image of Esau Edom, Baphomet, Great Satan, will be utterly burned with fire. And this is symbolic and, very spiritually, this is what they're telling. She will be utterly burned with fire. Because as you know, Baphomet represents transgenderism, being gender neutral, which is what Babylon the Great represents. That great whore that sitteth on many waters, right? Who send ambassadors by the sea. I mean, woe is coming. And we're going to see it in our lifetime. Hopefully we're not on the judgment side of it, right? Because I don't want to be burned with fire, but I want to see this place burn. I am sick of Babylon. I am sick of these fucking Edomites getting away with everything. It's time. Every kingdom's had their time to rule. 250 years, and its time is just about up.
Some pretty wild stuff is taking place over in Iran. Yesterday, across multiple different major cities in the country, civilians gathered together to burn statues in what appears to be a giant ritual, or basically a message that they are trying to send to Israel and other countries across the Middle East. These statues that they are burning here are supposed to represent a biblical figure known as Baal, and more specifically Moloch, which for those of you guys that are not up with biblical text, basically, Moloch was a satanic figure from biblical times who was also a Canaanite, and he was a satanic figure that was directly involved with child sacrifice, where people would actually go up and burn their children alive to sacrifice to the satanic god, and in return,
is that not what Epstein is?
Agriculture, and also bring storms.
Is he so not Epstein?
Now, of course, he was a Canaanite, which means that he was a direct enemy of God. If you guys go based off the regular Bible text and scripture, and you guys can see in this video here, there is multiple different videos showing the Iranians actually burning this statue down, and this is due to the fact. And one thing that you guys will notice about this is on top of this figure being a direct reference to Baal and Moloch, you'll also see that they put the Star of David 666, and in some of these statues that they actually burned down in the different cities across Iran, they also put pictures of Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and the Israeli flag. And this is because if you guys are not kept up with the newly released Epstein files that revealed tons of insane information, you would know that Epstein and all of the elites over in Israel that are basically pulling the strings around the world actually worship this satanic figure. Obviously, the Star of David is literally a direct reference to the six-sided star that is directly in reference to the Star of David and the satanic beings, along with a lot of satanic rituals. But yeah, you guys could see that these videos are absolutely insane because these people literally came together. You could see the Israel flag and some of the pictures of Donald Trump over on the bottom, and they literally spray gasoline all over these statues and all just go together and watch them burn. And I'm pretty sure this is Iran's way of defying the state of Israel, all of the terror and stuff that they have caused over in the Middle East. And now that we know that Epstein and a lot of the Israelis and people connected to that elite pedophile ring, who obviously do satanic rituals, worship this god Baal because it's directly referenced many times in the newly released Epstein emails, they are now burning these statues because they realize how satanic and connected to evil they actually are, which I think is pretty insane. It's very interesting to me as well that over in the Middle East, after the Epstein files were released, they are now revolting and doing acts of defiance like this. But over in the West, in Mexico, the United States, Canada, and all the Western countries, they literally have done nothing. It's almost like the people are just so complacent that they're really not going to do anything about it or revolt or send any messages their way. But over in Iran and other countries in the Middle East,
because we're being chemtrailed,
showing their acts of defiance by burning these statues, which are satanic. The only piece of information I'm not really sure about is why these statues were there in the first place. I'm not sure if Iranians maybe thought they had different meanings up until recently when they saw that Epstein was directly connected to Moloch and Baal, and they were actively sacrificing children to these satanic beings. But if you guys have any thoughts or theories, let me know down in the comments below. I just think it's absolutely insane. You can see here is another image as well that showcases a little bit more clearly what is on this. So you can see it is a direct one-to-one ratio of what the satanic being Baal and Moloch actually looked like, where it was a bullhead that has the six-sided star that is directly referenced with Israel's flag. They have a picture of Donald Trump, who is obviously connected to the Epstein files, and to the satanic pedophile ring in some way, and they also put the United States flag as well, since if you've done your research, you would know that the United States is directly allied with Israel. It's basically the same thing. We basically send our taxes and do everything for Israel to begin with, so they are connecting all of this. They also put another six-pointed star along with 666, which is satanic subliminal messaging, and yeah, it's just pretty wild seeing these videos. There's many different angles and a lot of footage, so you guys can go and find it yourself. there was 2 different statues that were very identical. They ended up burning in these acts of defiance and revolts yesterday. And I'm sure if there is any more statues across any of the other major cities in Iran, they're probably going to burn those as well. But it's pretty wild that all of the civilians gather together. This basically shows that they are behind Christianity and Islam, and they are trying to defy all the satanic power and acts that unfortunately has a grip over this world. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Obviously, I'd like to use these videos as discussion, along with just sharing the facts and information we know. Especially if you guys are from Iran, let me know what the locals and civilians are actually saying. But we can get a discussion going down in the comments below and kind of just bounce ideas off each other and theories. And it's just very interesting that this is all taking place after the Epstein files, but over in the Western countries, there is dead silence. No one seems to really care, and I think it's just because people are so complacent, which is probably what they wanted in the first place.
Exactly, because there's only a few righteous men over here, and that's those going and teaching lessons, And I said it before, and I'll say it again. In the first term of Donald Trump, I knew that he was a child molester, a pedophile, and I called him out. Called him out long ago because, like everything else, though, child sacrifice is just a regular thing for Babylon, regular thing for Amalek. And we know that definitely Amalek is who runs us, the least of the flock. Partial government shutdown hit the Department of Homeland. Here's what that means. So this is, this weekend it went into shutdown. Don't know if they're going to have if it's going to continue or if they're going to have some sort of kick the can down the road ceremonial today or what. Department of Homeland has been ensnared by a partial government shutdown as Congress did not act to fund the agency by the end of Friday. Nearly all DHS workers remain on the job even if they won't get paid until the lapse ends. And the public probably won't notice much of a change. Well, like everything else though, wait till it goes into full government shutdown. DHS is the last federal agency lacking funding for the remainder of the fiscal year, which runs through September 30. Since the record-long shutdown ended in mid-November, lawmakers passed a series of spending bills for the rest of the government. The most recent package approved by the end of January only funded DHS for 2 weeks to give Congress more time to negotiate reforms in the agency's ISIS department. So basically, it's because of ISIS, these terrorists, that go into Syria. Because I know who this man is. It's Esau. And Esau goes into lands like Syria and Libya, and guises himself as, radical Muslims, right? Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, but really, all the time behind the masks, it's goddamn Esau. All the fake beheadings and shit. And there were some real ones too, don't get me wrong. But most of that was staged, and it was Esau behind the mask. Same terrorist. So that's why I will always call him ISIS. That old devil, which is the devil and Satan, the serpent. And got another one here, because, hey, there's shameful spewing on Esau Edom. But only the righteous is doing this spewing while others are complacent with it. That's because they want to be Jeffrey Epstein. They are Jeffrey Epstein.
Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh Hashem, Al Shai, Hashem, Mukakudah, Shalom. To the 144,000 and the rest of the elect, I'll get Shalom to you all. Make this super quick, and I'm going to entitle this video, That Old Serpent, the Devil, and Satan. So I'm watching this, not even three minutes in. It's an 18-minute video. And I said, let me make a video on this. And this is it right here. Living a life of abundance. I subscribe to him, as you can see. The Epstein files just got more disturbing. It says right here, the Epstein files revealed that in 2018, that was a year before he disappeared, Epstein purchased 330 gallons of sulfuric acid. So when I heard that and saw this, you already know what they do with sulfuric acid. You get rid of things. These motherfuckers are diabolical. And let me do this. Okay, this is Joe Rogan talking about, they said he was down with it too. This woman right here, she comes out swinging, and she says, "You'll be surprised how many," and not too many words. You'll be surprised how many people that you see in the movies, sports world, athletes, NBA, whatever, entertainers, politicians that you know and see on TV that attended these parties. Let's say
A lot more than P. Diddy.
The Diddy parties.
Yeah.
Everybody had a hatred. Built up a hatred for Diddy. What he did is amateur. That's amateur. That's first grade shit. That's romper room stuff compared to what these motherfuckers did. And that's why they, covering it up so much. Remember, one of the first things that Nero was supposed to do was release the AG, the Attorney General, which is Pam Bondi, which you should know her, all right? They were supposed to pull us. They said they had the files. They're going to issue it out. Then it took a whole year and a month for them to finally come out, because eventually it was going to come out. And this shows you one thing, that you got, I guess, people and politicians that do have a heart, that do have a backbone, a spine. These are corrupt, wicked, evil, diabolical people, and it's not just Esau. But who leads all this? A small hat. Let me see. Oh my God, male Epstein survivor speaks out. Well, I gotta hear this. Anyway, what I'm going to do is, I'll just let you watch the rest of this and enjoy. Anyway, Shalom, on to the next.
So we'll just do a follow-up, right? As guided by Apostle Tahar. Continuing on, with the video.
You would be shocked here. So some of the names that I've seen that came across the DOJ in emails that the DOJ is protecting. And we're talking about people on both sides of the aisle. We're talking about famous people, rich people, people in power, prime ministers, former presidents, etc., media personalities that are named in these files. And that's why I say this is going to go down as the greatest cover-up, one of the greatest cover-ups in American history. And I don't believe the girls are actually going to see justice, which is why it's going to be incumbent upon people like Democrat Ro Khanna, Republican Thomas Massey. I'm a Republican myself who's willing to name some of those names in our committee work, on the floor of the House, whatever it takes, because this kind of thing cannot continue to go on. I want to give the next girl hope that when she comes forward, she won't be shamed. Her life won't be smeared in the Daily Mail or whatever the next press, is going to do. What they do to female victims and to children is disgusting, because they're protecting the rich and powerful, friends. But you'd be surprised, shocked even at some of the names in the file.
To all the politicians, stop telling us you're going to read the names of the Epstein perpetrators and then not do it. Either do it or shut the hell up. People want answers.
This is the one that I hate the most. Because this one scares the shit out of me. Because the fear of, we talked about this yesterday with Roger Avery, the fear of these literally demonic human beings that are running the world and don't give a fuck about human lives and enjoy watching people being tortured, enjoy watching people killed, participating in ritual sacrifice of people, and they do it in order to show that you're a part of a team. And we know that has always historically been a real thing, and it's been something that you look at in history and you go, God, it's so sick, it's so twisted, it's so disgusting, and everybody wants to thank God that's not happening now. But then when you realize that might have been happening now, here's one of the craziest ones. The day he was indicted in 2018, the very next day he ordered 330 gallons of sulfuric acid.
What?
Yes, he ordered 6 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid to be delivered to the island. And so there's a lot of people online saying, oh, that's probably for his desalination plant. It's probably a regular thing they need to order. So then someone else did a deep dive and said, no, this is the first time this was ever ordered.
That again, I thought there was 2 other ones.
Oh, there was 2 other orders?
2017 and 2015.
Oh, so that guy was wrong.
The first one from that company, potentially.
Ah, that makes sense.
Without a shadow of doubt in my mind, that's for dissolving flesh. They are literally destroying all the evidence. The million-dollar question that we all have here is that we have all these evidence and facts. So why isn't this whole island a crime scene? Too many rich, influential bumbleclips are keeping these atrocities from being exposed. We need all the names on the list, and I'm going to keep making these videos till I get my point across.
So maybe it was for this desalination equipment, but also that's a lot of sulfuric acid. If I needed 5 gallons for my desalination,
like Breaking Bad,
239 gallons, whatever it is, to burn kids. Yeah, to fucking get rid of bodies.
Well, it's kind of hard to think of any other use for acid, just in general. Right?
Immediately,
so
you think
immediately.
Yeah. The other orders, were they that large? Because here's the other thing. I mean, how long has it been killing people? How long have they been boiling bodies to get rid of them? I mean, if you do have, for lack of better words, let's call it a service, where you allow rich people from foreign governments or whatever, you set it up, I can give you whatever you want.
Right.
Oh, the cabal? The least of
I want
flock?
to kill her, I want to torture her, and I want to, get rid of the body. Ahmed
Now
bin
you know why
Suleiman
King Saul was ordered to
Suleiman
slay every
sent
last
the torture
one of
video
them.
to Epstein. This is
And
in
he didn't do it.
2009. So Epstein was saying that. Where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video.
Jeez.
I'm in China. I'll be in the U.S. second week of May. What the fuck, man? And why is his name redacted? Why would your name be redacted if you're not a victim? Like, this is what's crazy about all this. Like, how come you redact some people and you don't redact other people? Like, what is this? This is not good. None of this is good for this administration. It looks fucking terrible.
Very nice to see Joe flopping again on the Epstein list. Because, if I remember correctly, last July, he called all of us conspiracy theorists. Now, can somebody please remind Joe, which president actually released all the files? Because we definitely didn't see this under the Obama or Biden administration. Just saying.
It looks terrible. It looks terrible for Trump when he was saying that none of this was real, this is all a hoax. This is not a hoax. Like, did you not know? Maybe he didn't know, if you want to be charitable. But this is definitely not a hoax. And if you've got redacted people's names and these people aren't victims, you're not protecting the victims. So what are you doing?
Right.
And how come all this shit is not released?
The Epstein files better start turning into the Epstein trial soon. And people are slowly starting to resign after the release of the Epstein files. And in my personal opinion, I don't think this would have never happened under the Biden and Obama administration. Because, guys, take a look.
Breaking news. There is new fallout amid the release of the Epstein files. The top lawyer at Goldman Sachs, Kathy Remler, is stepping down after emails show that she had a close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Remler was also White House counsel to former President Barack Obama. Newly released documents show that she called Epstein Uncle Jeffrey and accepted luxury gifts from the disgraced financier. Her resignation takes effect June 30th, and in a statement, Remler said in part, "My responsibility is to put Goldman Sachs' interest first." The company's CEO said, "She will be missed. I accepted her resignation, and I respect her decision."
The Epstein files are truly demonic. Now, I'm going to show you guys this next clip on Joe Rogan. I want you guys to pay attention to it closely because I want to have a discussion after I play it. Take a look.
The Luciferians cast a spell on the world. And,
For real?
Oh, absolutely. It's just like how vampires can't go into a house unless
For
they're
us,
invited.
it's like,
They'll
no
tell you,
shit, these
what's
people are
going on
involved
ahead of time.
in
It's a
demonic
predictive program.
sacrifice.
And
But
once you say it out loud, you put it out there and make fun of it and do a little skit like Stephen Colbert did a little skit on his show where, oh, here's a baby.
But
I'm
if
gonna
you
take this baby and I'm
expose
gonna get it
Amalek,
back. And he
you're
goes into,
considered
a cloudy red,
anti-Shemitic, right?
furnace and hands the baby over and, oh, the baby's going to be fine. And they make a joke about it and the audience laughs. Okay, we're all now conditioned to it. We've all seen it. And by laughing at it, we were complicit.
You think that's on purpose, that this is like some sort of grand design to get us to be desensitized to the idea of demons eating babies?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
For sure. And by the way, nobody's doing anything about it. We know what's happening.
But that has to take, there has to be a person or some group of people.
Yeah, about 8,500 people. Yeah.
That are manipulating the Colbert Show?
They're manipulating everything. It's all an illusion. Like, reality as we know it is fake. That's the revelation that guy is having. And he's looking around and he's like, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, the thing about the emails is, one of the things is it's just stuff written down. And so that's sort of hard to digest. Like, what is this? Like, what are they saying? Like, some of it is in code, like walking over beef jerky. Like talking about jerky, could you walk beef jerky over to this person? Like, what is that
for all this pizza they're talking about? No, you never see any pizza.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to get some grape soda. It's like with my cheese pizza.
Yeah.
And like, there's all this coded language, and everyone's like, oh, that's you just have pareola. You're just seeing things where you want to see them.
No, there's clearly a code. Well, that was the thing about
it's
pizza.
Absolutely a code, and in fact, mundus vult decepi, ergo decipiatur. It's a long known concept, and so in Latin, mundus vult decepi means the world wants to be deceived. Ergo decipiatur. Therefore, it is. We want to be deceived. We don't want to believe the horrors that are actually behind the veil.
Well, I think with the Epstein files, people are, because of these emails that have been released, people are just now starting to be aware of the bizarreness of the code and some of the things, like the facts. Like, let's just talk about the sulfuric acid. So this was like right after he was indicted in 2018.
Yeah, I got to get rid of some bodies.
Yeah.
I gotta
How much did
dissolve up some bodies.
What did it say he ordered? Like, let's
Like 8,000 gallons.
maybe we can get our sponsor Perplexity to process this and give us a synopsis of what exactly happened, some sort of a breakdown. Because one of the things they're saying is like he was indicted, and then right after he's indicted, he orders.
And these
how many
Edomites
gallons?
act so shocked when they really envy Epstein and wish they could be like Epstein.
Christ.
Wish they could have orgies every
Jesus
weekend
Christ.
and never be judged, right?
What? They're eating
And
babies.
then it could go on
Like, that's
forever.
the-
So that you think is real? So
Well, yeah, not only that, I think that there's, sacrifices going on every day in Los Angeles. I mean, allegedly, like, high-level musicians, let's say, high-level female musician, is, like, killing chickens every day, doing sacrifices. Like,
high level.
I don't want to say, I don't want to say names because I don't want to get sued. And I don't want to be dead either.
All right, guys, this is going to sound kind of weird, but I need you guys to stay with me because it's all going to make sense. They believe that if they show you, even in a joking way, that they owe no karmic debt for the sin, because they told you they were going to do it, and they will do it right in front of your face. You don't believe me? I have the facts and evidence to prove it. Just have a listen to this.
Babies. Ooh, I love babies. Oh yeah, they love gummies. It's crazy. I mean, I do too though, because I have an iron deficiency, so shit tastes good. Like, do you guys like the taste of blood? Do you? Does anyone here like the taste of blood? Because I like it. I like the taste of blood.
Wasn't you supposed to be the world's #1 virtue signaller on an award show just a couple of weeks ago? And you're telling everyone you like the taste of what? I think you need to be careful with statements like that, considering everything that's coming out now. Even the NPCs and the people who weren't switched on are starting to rub a bit of that sleep out of their eyes. Yeah, you want to maraud on stage because you're some hero when you have no idea.
And
what
that's
it is
why
to
he's
live
going to
amongst
end the musicians
real
right
people,
there.
Real working class people.
No more will the singers be out.
And these are supposed
Think about
to be people children should be looking up to.
Because of what
Shut them
they're
all
doing.
down. Cancel them all.
Most High's going
Now,
to
do you guys
destroy
believe
every
me?
last
They
one of
tell
them.
you, literally, right in front of your face. Now, I want to show you guys this, because it gets pretty freaking creepy. All of the crosses on her bracelet are hanging from the bottom. Upside down cross. That tells you everything you need to know. Look, she doesn't have to be careful with the statements like that. You know why? Because she's told what to say. Everything is scripted. She is owned.
Watch this.
Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Democrats were crying about the Epstein files being released for weeks and months on end the moment they figured out that it could be used as a tool against Trump. This was her. Watch, this is unbelievable.
Hey everybody, we just had the vote on releasing the Epstein files, and it was near unanimous. The Republicans came along kicking and screaming.
So she voted to release all the files. On top of that, this is her as well. Today, the Trump administration must release the full Epstein files. No missing pages, no documents blurred out, no redactions to protect rich and powerful men. Survivors and the American people deserve answers and transparency. By law, Trump must provide them today. So in December, she was calling for the full, unredacted release of the files. And now that that's happened, she finds another angle to demonize Pam Bondi. It's not actually about the victims. It's not actually about holding people accountable. It's about how can you damage the right politically and gain points for the left. That is what she is focused on. This whole Epstein thing has just been a political tool for Democrats. If they truly cared, they would have done something when Biden was in office and they controlled the House and the Senate. They didn't, because they didn't see it as politically useful. It was politically useful when they could say, well, Trump needs to release the files and he's hiding something. And now that all the files are being released, she's got to change her talking point because that talking point won't work anymore. So now it's, well, how do you feel about, harming these victims because their information was in the Epstein files? Even after I called for unredacted versions and putting everything out there. Now that you did that, let me find another angle to shame you so I can score some political points. These people are pathetic. Any angle they can to try to demonize the administration. They focus more on opposing Donald Trump and hurting Republicans than they do about taking care of the American people. It's very obvious. I'll say it again. If they truly cared about this whole Epstein situation so much, they wouldn't have waited until they saw an opportunity to bang Trump over the head with it. They would have been doing it when they controlled the House of Presidency and the Senate. This woman is pathetic.
Now, this is just my take on it. All of these members of Congress have now seen the unredacted files, and yet none of them have produced any names of clients. It's all theater and it's all a distraction.
Yep.
The Epstein files are so insanely horrific that they had to drop the cure for cancer to distract you. If you haven't seen this, maybe do a little bit of research. Neurosites all over the place. They just keep dropping, oh, we found the cure for colon cancer, we found the cure for this type of cancer, yeah. They had to do that to distract you from the fact that these people are literally eating newborn babies. And I hate having to make videos about this stuff. It's so horrific I can't even sleep at night. But the mainstream media isn't telling you. In fact, they're covering it up. And if we don't start speaking out, people are never going to know. And history will plaster over it. I'm going to go on, most people are just going about their days, paying taxes to satanic PDF files while being pacified with stupid fucking sports ball contests and their dumb fucking dating shows, whatever the hell people are being propagandized with these days, and being fed through their favorite media outlets.
The stupid ball.
Listen, brother,
I like the puppy bowl better, to be honest.
Live this way, and if you feel lost, if you feel like you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing to avoid this evil, you should probably join us. It's not for everybody, but if you love this great American nation in the way that I do, and all that it stands for, you should join us.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing, is that the symbolism on the stupid bowl, I've said it before and I'll say it again, that the Seahawks represent the New World Order, and that the Patriots really represent the old, represent, just like what he said there. I know the symbolism there. But like everything else, though, this whole place, it was founded upon the enslavement of, of Jake, and especially, how they were taken down, how Esau took down Gad and took down Reuben, and, he didn't get all the Reubenites. There's always going to be a remnant there, but nonetheless, so, he took everything down. That's how this place was, by the enslavement, and then he took the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom. And they still want to claim that it once was righteous. They claim to their constitution, which doesn't protect them. Not even the average Edomite, right? Because, again, if he really cared about that, then, they would have done a lot more. The fact is, though, is that they don't. Edomites don't even care about their own, especially Amalek. Amalek don't share with his brothers. And it's good to watch it all go down. But like everything else, though, we're getting close to where the final enslavement will be the digital dollar. Because the digital wallet is coming out by January 1st by their own admission. That Trump just signed last week while everybody was distracted with the stupid bull. By their own admission, will come out by January, so we know we're going to see everything become cashless by the end of this year, and a digital dollar, which is going to lead towards the mandate. They're going to mandate that everybody have a chip in order for the digital wallet to work. Trump very serious about annexing Greenland. Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen warned that the U.S. President remains very serious about annexing Greenland, despite recent toning down his rhetoric about use of military force to take over the resource-rich Arctic territory. Trump has repeatedly expressed his desire, his lust to acquire the autonomous Danish territory. So, like everything else, though, this is still going to happen. There's going to be a lot of moves made this year. U.S. military used Anthropic's AI model in operation to capture Venezuela's Maduro. So like everything else, though, of course, they used all kinds of agents in it, all kinds of new stuff you never heard of before. The U.S. military used Anthropic AI model Claude during the operation to capture Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro. Following the raid, an employee at Anthropic asked a counterpart of Palantir Technologies how Claude was used in the operation. Anthropic became the first known AI developer whose technology was used in a classified operation by the U.S. Department of Defense, though it remains unclear how the tool, capable of tasks from analyzing PDFs to guide autonomous drones, was deployed. So, like everything else, though, any use of Claude, whether in the private sector or across the government, is required to comply with usage policies, which govern how Claude can be deployed. We work closely with the... So like everything else, though, they don't have to disclose because they're the government. They can do whatever the fuck they want to, right? Just like they're pedophiles, but they can get away with it because, hey, they're high up. They're Amalekites. Don't say anything about those You know what? Because that's anti, you know what? You know, just like you can't say anything against the alphabet community either. You know, which are also pedophiles, Amalekites. Hey, it's all coming out now, you know, and that's just it. We're in the time that Esau shall be exposed. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Russia evacuates tourists from Cuba as U.S. engineered field crisis deepens. So, like everything else, though, you know, they're preparing for war. Russia will operate only return flights from Cuba as evacuation of Russian citizens visiting the Caribbean island gets underway. Russia is preparing to evacuate its citizens who are visiting Cuba. Moscow's aviation authorities said after the U.S. imposed oil blockade on the island has choked off supplies of jet fuel. Due to the difficulties with refueling aircraft in Cuba, Rosalia Airlines and Norwind Airlines have been forced to adjust their flight schedules to airport in the country. So, like everything else, so pretty much so, you know, this whole thing is, you know, continuing. And like everything else, so, well, we see it here, you know, that, you know, India has now got S-400 air defense systems, and they're preparing for war. The mighty men, you know, and they're going to be gathered in the Valley of Jehoshaphat.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to set up by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Marakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone of Rubel. Peace and blessings and citation to the hopeful elect, the Bayat Tawadah, the house of David. Alright, so I'm just going to start you off with a scripture. You see, 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 1, it says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. Right, and that's what we're doing. You see, because we coming in the spirit of Yahweh Shai, of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and everything is all about prophecy. Revelation 19 and verse number 10, it says, And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. And that's what we coming in. Okay, and that's what we speaking out of the book, the Bible. You see, let's read it from the top again. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 1. It says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, right? Because these are not our words, these are the Lord's words. These are Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai's words. Saith Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and cause them to be written in paper, the Bible, right? For they are faithful and true. Fear none of the imaginations against thee, and let not the incredulity mean the unbelief, right? Of those who don't believe will be saying, right? Because our report is faithful and true. You see, the words of the Heavenly Father, you see, Numbers 23 and 19, right? It speaks about the Lord. He said he's a man that he shall not lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. That's just roughly paraphrasing. Okay? So, verse number 3, it says, Fear not the imaginations against thee, and let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. It says, Behold, saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Alright, so let's go in here. This is the article, Military and Defense. Alright, Military and Defense. As you can see, India orders 288 anti-aircraft missiles for S-400 air defense system from Russia. Right, so as you know, Russia's backing these nations up, huh? You see? So let's just get into this here, right? It says the Indian Defense Procurement Council has approved the purchase of 288 anti-aircraft missiles for the S-400 Triumph system, right? It says, which the country previously purchased from Russia. According to the publication sources, the deal covers the purchase of 120 short-range missiles and 168 long-range missiles. The cost of purchasing the number of missiles is about 10,000 rupees, right? About 1.2 billion. After analyzing the results of Operation Sindoor and considering the experience of combat clashes with Pakistan forces, the Indian government decided to significantly expand its air defense network. The Indian Air Force plans to purchase 5 more S-400 Triumph anti-aircraft missile systems, which will create a dense protective dome over strategically important regions of the country. In addition to long-range systems, India is focusing on protecting critical infrastructure and military airfields. To this end, the authorities are considering the purchase of short-range, Panzer M anti-aircraft missile and gun systems. It should be noted that despite these plans of today, the Indian government and the Minister of Defense have faced delays in receiving the S-400 anti-aircraft missile systems. It says this is directly related to the war in Ukraine and Russia's urgent need for these systems. During a bilateral meeting between India Defense Minister Rajnath, right, and Russian Defense Minister, I ain't even going to sit there and try to pronounce that man's name. It says they discussed new deadlines for the transfer of S-400 air defense systems. It's 2026-2027. It says this is the second postponement, as the transfer of the last 2 batteries of the complex was to be completed by April 2023. It says it should be recalled that in 2021, India began deploying the first regimental set of S-400 air defense missile system in Punjab sector to counter Pakistan's
aviation.
What is that? Aviation, right? Aviation. Okay, it says in total, India ordered 5 divisions of these systems from Russia, but their delivery has become a constant problem due to numerous delays, which, according to India's sources, have negatively affected the country's defense capabilities and aimed growing eternal threats. All right. So pretty much is that they prepare for war, man. All right. Now, ultimately, we know the end game is World War III, but ultimately we know Jacob's trouble, right? You see, the hour of temptation, which is the MOTB. See, one of the major prophecies that's going to come to pass. Okay, because the Heavenly Father, in Numbers, the 23rd chapter, 19th verse, it says Yahweh is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. So we know that these things are going to come to pass. You see, so let me do this here. Let's put this in, right? Jump down to Revelation 9 and 12. Let's read there first. It says, 1 woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. Right? Revelation 11 and 14. It says, the second woe is past, that was World War II. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And we know this third woe that's going to come quickly is going to be by fire. Let me get Isaiah 9 and 5. Isaiah 9 and 5. And it reads, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Right? So, as you can see, they're preparing for war, right? So, let's go here. Let's go to Joel, the 3rd chapter. And let's go to the 9th verse. Right? It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. And let the weak say, I am strong. Right? Because you see, this is what's going on, man. The weak is saying, I am strong. You see? They're preparing for World War III. All right? And in the midst of that World War III, Yahweh Shai and the angels are going to show up, man. And they're going to turn the battle of the Lord. And the Lord is going to obliterate their asses. Every single one of these nations, man. Their armies and everything. The Lord is just, Yahweh Shai is going to do major work with the angels, man. That he's coming with, man. The high archangel Michael. You see? And then there's going to be there's going to be more high archangels that come with the Lord Yahweh Shai, man. All right? You know? You see? But they're going to get busy, man. The angels going to get busy. All right? So these nations are waking up and preparing for war to go down to where? The valley of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat. You see? And that's where all these things is going to take place. And that's where all these armies, especially Esau, right? Because he got these stealth mode planes. He got all these things he's creating down in Area 51, Area 52 to try to come up against these humanoid robots and so on and so forth. You know, all these things he's trying to come up against the elect first and foremost of the nation of Israel, right? But then Israelites in general, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's why they're setting up these concentration camps. They got a lot of concentration camps set up, but they're building up even more, right? And they're trying to just lightly to call them detention centers, but they're not. Their concentration camps is going to be set up with guillotines, right? Torture rooms, shipping centers, and so on and so forth, man. All right, you see. So that was just, this was just a little quick video, just to bring this out, point it out, So with that, we're going to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Yahweh Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of Well. Peace and blessings and citation to the hopeful elect, the Bayat Dawadah, the House of David, Shalom, Abba Ball.
So, like everything else, we know where that Valley of Jehoshaphat is. And Syria is the main heart of it, It's right there where the great river Euphrates are, right? Where the 4 angels will be loosed for a time, and that is to judge. And that is to judge Esau, Edom in that valley. And all that were partakers in it. See, all of them had to do with the buying and selling of Israelites. Israeli terrorists preparing for attacks on West Bank Palestinians during Ramadan. Israeli terrorists are preparing to carry out large-scale arrests of Palestinians during the sacred Muslim month of Ramadan. Ramadan is expected to begin on Tuesday, and Israeli terrorists in the West Bank have reportedly been reinforced with commando units which have already begun carrying out arrests. However, the preparations are taking place amid a noticeable decline in Palestinian armed activity in the West Bank, while Israeli settlers, aka terrorists, and the military step up attacks against Palestinians. Over 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli terrorists and soldiers in the West Bank since the Gaza war began in 2023 October, with tens of thousands more injured or detained. Israeli terrorists already deployed in force in Palestinian refugee camps in the West Bank, considered by Israeli state to be strongholds of armed Palestinian factions, displacing dozens of people. And they're going to get away with it. You know why? Because Babylon the Great, is their backup. That's why all those other Arab nations, unless they have someone like Russia to back them, they can't do anything about it, because they'll have to go against the U.S. Pentagon prepares for sustained war against Iran as Trump calls for regime change. This ain't backing down. They're about to engage Iran. U.S. military leaders previously warned that they were not ready to respond to Iran's anticipated retaliation and required additional time to prepare. So they're still preparing for war in this valley, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which, we know the heart of it is Syria, but Iran is very much named in Ezekiel's prophecy. And so it's just going to be an all-out war. The U.S. military is preparing for the possibility of a sustained weeks-long military campaign against Iran as President Trump orders attack. We're waiting for him to order the attack. The U.S. and Iran began a new round of negotiations in Oman last week. Israeli state demanding that the Islamic Republic give up not only its nuclear program, but also its ballistic missile program. So basically totally disarm. So that way they can't retaliate against Tel Aviv. You think they're going to agree to that? Absolutely not. U.S. readies for weeks-long Iran military operation. If launched, the campaign against the Islamic Republic will escalate into a far more serious conflict than previously seen, according to the news agency. And it says pretty much the same thing. So, well, they're preparing for war, right? In that valley. Now, is this it? No, I believe that this one's going to back down, but they know that eventually there's going to have an all-out war, because again, what has to be mandated before this war takes place.
Talks between the United States and Iran have begun, but the American military buildup in the Middle East is expanding in a way that suggests an attack on the Islamic Republic is right around the corner. The military buildup began last month after repeated threats by President Donald Trump to Tehran over a wave of protests that turned deadly. As the situation calmed down in Iran, Washington shifted its narrative to focus on the country's nuclear program, missile arsenal, and regional influence. On February 6th, senior U.S. officials, including Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner, held indirect talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Muscat, the capital of Oman. The talks were reportedly positive. However, it was limited to the nuclear issue. Trump turned down threats against Iran following the talks. The U.S. military buildup gained momentum, with dozens of military cargo flights to bases near the Islamic Republic. The focal point of the deployment became Wafaq Salti Air Base in central eastern Jordan, where F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jets, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare jets, and MQ-9 Reaper combat drones were spotted, along with the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense anti-ballistic missile system. Al Udeid Air Base near the Qatari capital Doha also saw serious U.S. military buildup with the deployment of over a dozen KC-135 Stratotanker refueling aircraft and an RC-135 Rivet Joint Signal Intelligence plane, in addition to an additional MIM-104 Patriot long-range air defense system. U.S. military activities were also detected at a key bomber base on Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. An Arleigh-Burke-class guided missile destroyer was spotted docked at the base port. P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, KC-135 Stratotanker refueling planes, and two MC-130J Commando II aircraft equipped for special operations were also observed there. Amid these movements, Trump came out on February 10th to reveal that he is considering sending a second aircraft carrier strike group to the Middle East. Trump met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House the next day, and later said that he insists on talks with Iran. While Trump insists that he is in favor of a deal with Tehran, the U.S. military is clearly preparing to go to war against Iran. The two sides do not appear to be anywhere close to a deal, especially considering the Islamic Republic's strict stance on its missile arsenal and regional influence. The recent diplomatic de-escalation by Washington is likely nothing but an attempt to deceive the Iranians.
And they know that. They're prepared for war. Just like the scriptures tell us, prepare for war. Let them come up. So, like everything else, who uses chemical warfare? Who has weapons of mass destruction? The Israeli State Levant, ISIL. Israelis' chemical attacks devastates Lebanese and Syrian agriculture along the border. Glyphosate is a non-selective systematic herbicide that attacks plant roots, preventing regrowth for 2 to 3 weeks. And they've been poisoning everything. Esau poisons the earth. He hurts the earth, especially Amalek. Israeli state increasingly using glyphosate herbicide against Lebanese and Syrian agricultural lands, threatening food security, water supplies, and long-term soil fertility in both countries. Israeli warplanes, because that's what this is a war, sprayed chemical herbicides across Lebanon's southern border in early February 2026, covering approximately 8.5 square kilometers of agricultural lands, forests, and livestock grazing areas with chemical weapons up to 50 times higher than standard agricultural use. You know, they're using it as an agent of warfare. But you can't call them weapons of mass destruction like you use to overthrow governments like Syria or Iraq. Oh, don't say that these fake-ass Jews, these Amalekites, are using chemical warfare. No, you can't accuse them of that. You know, that's anti-Semitic to say anything bad about these pieces of shit that call themselves Israelites. I hate them. I hate these fucking Amaleks, every last one of them. But you see, like everything else, though, there's a reason. There's a reason why King David did not follow through on it. He was punished for it. But, hey, Most High is going to destroy Amalek once and for all. The least of the flock. She'll draw them out. She'll make their habitations desolate with them. They're going to die the most horrific death ever. Nuclear war. Israeli state warned UNFIL and the Lebanese armies it would spray vegetation, but the state failed to alert citizens not to expose themselves on their livestock. Step aside, we're about to spray you with chemical warfare. Yeah. Pieces of shit. You know, I fucking hate every last one of them. And I believe more than anything else that what killed my dog here is the shit that they're spraying on the ground itself, because too many people here in this complex have lost their pets, have just died suddenly, or cancer, or just vomiting, both cats and dogs being killed because of what they're spraying on the fucking plants. I believe more than anything else that That's why my dog died of leukemia, because of pieces of shit, Amalek in particularly, who creates these agents, because all the Edomites do is just follow after Amalek. Amalek controls everything. Syria's Hayat al-Sham says Israeli regime seeking conflict in region. Well, that's a done no shit, but you ain't doing anything about it. Of course not, because you're that transitional government that will do nothing. The Arab country's de facto foreign minister made the remarks on Saturday morning during a panel discussion on the sidelines of Munich Security Conference in Germany. He said the Israeli state is dissatisfied with what he called a realistic approach adopted by Hayat al-Sham, adding that the occupying regime remains intent on sustaining conflict in the region. Damascus managed to establish a diplomatic format on the interaction with the Israeli state and bring the occupying regime to the negotiating table, he added. However, he emphasized talks between Hayat al-Sham and Israeli officials would not result in Damascus accepting the imposed status quo in southern Syria. So, like everything else, though, the Israeli state continues to take land, and the new transitional government doesn't like it. You shouldn't have made a deal with this devil, but this devil gave you all the fuel and ammunition to actually go in and take out Bashar al-Assad. Well, they're going to take you out too. You were just holding it for them, As Negan said in Walking Dead, you're just getting everything ready for me. The Israeli state is going to occupy Damascus, and that's what's going to cause Damascus to be destroyed. I believe that is one of the main scenarios that's going to happen previous to World War III, that the Israeli state will control Damascus if they don't enough already. Syrian troops enter Huska Shaddai base after U.S. withdrawal. The U.S. Army has now withdrawn troops from 7 of its 8 major military bases in Syria, to bring in the transitional government. Why? Because the Israeli state is going to be taking over Syria, very soon. And this government is going to be so weak, and the U.S. is getting out of there so the Israeli state can have their way with Syria. I see that for what it is, because they want to use Syria as a main base to build their war against Iran. U.S. troops are still present at the site in January 2026, with a large-scale government assault saw near the Shaddai prison and heavy attacks. Hundreds of ISIS members escaped the prison during the chaos. Well, they were just keeping them there, and now, like everything else, they're releasing ISIS. And then they brought the most radical of them into Iraq to create even more destabilization there, because they don't like what's going on in Iraq, because of course a Shiite Muslim has become the leader once again, and they can't control the Shia Muslim because he's more favorable to Iran, so they brought all those there. For years, the U.S. military trained mercenaries and anti-Assad extremist fighters inside the Al-Tanf military base, basically, to keep the oil and to control the oil. Throughout Washington's presence in Al-Tanf beginning in 2016, ISIS were heavily active in the 55-kilometer area surrounding the base, which extends in the Syrian desert. So like everything else, well, they got their transitional government. But you see, like everything else, the mighty men, they're getting ready, they're preparing for war. So hopefully all this has been edifying. We're watching it unfold. We are seeing it happen before our eyes. And just before this war, they will mandate everybody be chipped. And they're going to have chipping centers, torture chambers, and all that. That's why the increase in everything else. And they're going to have plenty of distractions, but like everything else, though, what's going to happen is the Third World War is going to happen, and we don't want to be caught up in that lake of fire that's going to destroy Babylon when all these nations sharpen their missiles and send them. They send them to Babylon, including the Allies. But this is where the main war is going to take place. I will gather the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and part of my land. And that's what they did when they put us into slavery. And they cast lots for my people, and given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Because you have taken my silver, my gold, and carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things. The children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that you may remove them far from their border. Again, this is talking about all nations when they said that, they should be no more. That the name Israel be no more, meaning that we would not know who we were. And they all were partakers in that, and that's why this war is going to happen. Let the heathen be wicked and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. And you see where that gathering is. You're seeing it happen. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is near in the valley of decision. So this is where the nuclear war is going to take place, and everybody knows it. Babylon the Great will be destroyed, and hey, Esau is going to be destroyed, and so is Russia, for that matter. All of Esau is going to be destroyed, and like everything else, though, we pray we don't get caught in that judgment, So hopefully all this has been edifying. For that I will say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abba Babal. Brakathum, Jehovah elect, Shalom.